Like I said, I've applied for 98 jobs in a week. I've got like 7 interviews lined up in the next week or so. Finding a job isn't hard. It just now that I'm out of trouble, I won't have a problem keeping it.
Okay.
I've been doing this for almost 10 years and it's always been an issue of keeping it.
Okay. Thank you.
And when the interviews come, he's going to say that he went to the interview and they ran a background check and they saw that he had felonies and that they didn't hire him because of that. And he's going to ask for 6 months more to try.
Good morning to everyone. Mr. James, in this matter, you're before the court charged with civil contempt of court due to your failure to pay child support and or related expenses. Upon a first conviction, you could be ordered to serve up to 45 days in jail. If it's a second or subsequent offense, up to 90 days in jail. Do you understand the charges?
Yes, sir.
The court has appointed Ms. Perkins to represent you in this matter. Have you had sufficient opportunity to speak to Ms. Perkins in preparation for these proceedings?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. And Ms. Perkins, are you ready to proceed?
I am.
Okay. Mr. James, I'll have you and Ms. Hester raise your right hand, be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
It is.
Okay. Ms. Hester, you can proceed.
Thank you. We're here on 3 dockets today. It's 1998-002327, 2014-002158, and docket number 2021-000641. The 1998 docket is involving Lisa Jones v. Robert James. There's a total obligation that needs to be paid every month at $53.50 a month. The last voluntary payment was February 7th, 2023. There's been 9 show causes, 3 bench warrants, 1 contempt finding. I monitor compliance by the last 7 months at $53.50 a month. $374.50 should have been paid. Nothing has been paid. The total arrears on this case is $608.11. The last sentencing was June 21st, 2023. He was sentenced to 21 days and he purged out for $500. The 2014 case is Vicki Huntley versus Robert James. The total monthly obligation is $469.50 a month that needs to be paid. The last payment was January 17th, 2024. It did come in through an income withholding through General Fastener. The enforcement history is there's been 7 show causes, 3 bench warrants, 1 contempt finding. I monitor compliance by the last 7 months at $469.50 a month. He should have paid $3,286.50. He paid $967.72, leaving a shortfall of $2,318.78. The total arrears on this case is $7,026.79. The last sentencing was also June 21st, 2023. He was sentenced to 21 days and he purged out with $500. On the 2021 docket, it's Michelle Pope versus Mr. James. The total obligation on this docket is $635.50, should be paid every month. The last amount paid was January 17th, 2024 in the amount of $223.53. There's been 2 show causes, 3 bench warrants, 1 contempt finding. Monitor compliance by the last 7 months at $635.50 a month. He should have paid $4,448.50. He's paid $2,324.70. The total arrears on this docket is $12,599.48. He was also sentenced on this June 21st, 2023 to 21 days, and he purged out with $500.
Okay. Ms. Perkins, do you dispute or contest any of the statements made by Ms. Hester?
No.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Hester?
I do have one clarification question with regard to the case, the 1998 case. You indicated that voluntary payment on February 7th, but you indicated he had made no payments.
In the
How come
last 7 months.
Okay, and how much was that payment for? Do you know?
February 7th. Oh gosh, I did not write it down.
Okay.
Of 2023.
Okay, so it was February 7th of 2023.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Okay. Any proofs, Ms. Perkins?
Your Honor, my client had income withholding put in place, and so he thought that income withholding was paying all three of these child support cases. Two of them indicate income withholding, but the third one does not. He is baffled by that because he thought that income withholding was in place going to every single case. Then, unfortunately, he went to jail at the end of December and he lost his job. So therefore, right now he is not working. However, he's been out for just a couple of weeks, not even a couple of weeks at this point. And he's filed for unemployment already. He is he's going to be getting $250 a week for that. And he knows that some money will go to child support from that. He also has applied to 98 jobs since he's been out, and he has 6 interviews scheduled for this week. He also plans on filing for his taxes soon and be able to make the payment with regard to child support with that tax money. Since he is doing all of this to try to get a job and get back on his feet and get income withholding back in place, we're asking that this case be adjourned so that he has that time to attend those interviews that he has. Hopefully, he will be getting employment from one of those interviews and get that income withholding back in place and be able to resume paying child support. He does want to get this behind him and pay the arrears and get this paid. So that's what we're asking for today.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Huntley, I'll ask you, you'll have to unmute to respond. You see that they've asked for adjournment to allow him to proceed with his interviews and hopefully find a job. Oh, what are your thoughts on that, or anything else you'd like to tell me, ma'am?
This is a repeated thing every 6 months. Michelle and I are the only two taking care of these children. We're responsible for going to work every day, making sure that our kids are taken care of. But I have to use my time off from work to do these court cases instead of spending it with my kids. So her and I are the only two being disciplined in this.
Okay. Ms. Pope, is there anything you'd like to tell me?
I agree with what Vicky mentioned. Also, you know, this is a repeated thing. Robert went to jail the end of December. He hadn't made a payment on his child support cases in months leading up to that. So him being in jail is just a scapegoat. Also, his attorney mentioned something about he plans on filing taxes. I know Robert hasn't filed taxes in a few years, and he's not going to be getting any money back from taxes because he can't claim dependents because he doesn't support his children 6 months or more out of the year. So I would just ask that you take that into consideration when making your decision. That
Okay. Mr. James, when was the last time you had a full-time job?
December of last year, sir, before I went to jail.
Okay.
And I'd worked there. And before that, I'd worked full-time I've always worked. It was just the income withholdings were never situated or in place, right?
Well, what does that mean?
Well, I guess I don't understand when they're sent to my employer doesn't take them out right away. And then the next thing I know, there's a show cause hearing for the income withholding not being in place. I talked to my HR representative when I first started at General Fasters, and she reassured me that the income withholding was in place. And clearly it wasn't, because they didn't start taking it out until December of 2 months later. As far as not paying or not supporting my kids, I've always tried to support. There's always something it seems like there's always been a hiccup, but I have nothing holding me back after I got out of jail this time, sir. I spent 30 days and I have no probation. I have nothing else to pay other than child support.
Okay.
Like I said, I've applied for 98 jobs in a week. I've got like 7 interviews lined up in the next week or so. Finding a job isn't hard. now that I'm out of trouble, I won't have a problem keeping it.
Okay.
I've been doing this for almost 10 years and it's always been an issue of keeping it.
Okay. Thank you.
And when the interviews come, he's going to say that he went to the interview and they ran a background check and they saw that he had felonies and that they didn't hire him because of that. And he's going to ask for 6 months more to try and find a job.
Okay.
That's clearly not the case, Your Honor, because I have been working every year since then. So that's clearly not the case. So obviously that statement is false
Okay.
because I've always had a job.
Well, but you haven't always paid. And one of the things the court's concerned about is it's your obligation to pay and make sure that the employer does. So like you stated is, oh yeah, you've notified them and they said that it's in place. Well, clearly when you look at your paycheck stub, you'll find out, well, they're not taking it out. So the last time you said it took 2 months for them to do it, you could look at the darn paycheck stub and say, well, they're not taking out my child support. It doesn't take a genius to look at that and say, oh, geez, that must not be, even though they told me it's being withheld, it's not being withheld. And then in that case, it's your obligation to voluntarily pay. And you haven't done that.
Okay. I would just ask, Your Honor, that you just give me a chance here and let me get a job and just give me an adjournment for 3 months even, and I'll show you that I'm going to pay. I don't even need 6 months.
Okay. Ms. Perkins, is there anything else?
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay. Well, in this particular matter, the court's heard the testimony, and the testimony shows that, again, Mr. James has made some payments in this matter, so it's not that he has not paid anything, but again, he has not complied with the orders in this matter, that he has been working full-time as he testified to, and thought, as he said, he thought that he was paying through income withholding, but clearly if he looked at his paycheck stub or if he saw, you'd realize that he was not paying, again, the amount that was required to be paid. They were not taking out any of the money, really, during this particular period of time. So the court basically defined that he's failed or refused to comply with the orders of the court in this matter, and therefore he is in contempt of court. Anything before sentencing, Ms. Perkins?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do in this matter is, Mr. James could sentence you up to 90 days. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is sentence you up to 45 days with credit for no time served. On the 2098 case, I'm going to set a purge amount of $200. The other two cases, a purge amount of $500. What I'm going to do is I'm going to suspend the sentence for about 60 days. That gives you 60 days to acquire employment, begin paying. And at that time, if at the 60 days, if you're not paying at that particular point, then you've got to serve the jail time.
Okay.
And if you are working and you are paying, then the court will review it at that particular time and determine whether we continue the suspension or whether we have you go to jail at that time. Okay?
All right.
Okay. And Ms. Huntley, Ms. Pope, thank you for coming in. And all we're going to do is we want to obviously get the money for you so that your children can be supported. And hopefully this doesn't. If not, Mr. James will end up spending some time in jail. Yeah, Ms. Hester?
So when are the purge amounts due, Your Honor? And within 60 days?
Yeah, we'll have it due within 60 days.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you.